In the beginning, with the big block of wood and a big chainsaw, and you're climbing all around, it's as close to warfare as art probably gets. My name is Steve Backus. I live on Whidbey Island in Puget Sound, north of Seattle. I was raised in Lake Quinault on the coast in the middle of logger and wood country. This whole art farm is kind of the Rodney Dangerfield of the art world, and we're looking for a little respect. And being as I'm a second-generation carver, I was forced to do it as a child. And I've been actually using a chainsaw since I was 16, so it'll be 42 years at this point, and making a full-on living at it most of the time. It was because I was from a second-generation family, everybody expected me to know what I was doing, and a friend in high school browbeat me into carving of my headboard for his bed. So I said I could, but nobody would let me use the tools, so I did it on a weekend when I was not home, and did it and got $40. I do. I'm in what was an old sawmill here on the island, and I bought it from the guy that owned it because I worked for him when I was a kid. So it's about 4 acres, kind of all stretched out, and being here over 30 years, there's evidence that I'm here for sure. There's a lot of fence line on the public road that I've just hung up carvings I couldn't sell, carvings that people have left behind, things that look cool, and I've just screwed it to the fence. So even though I think I'm anonymous, I'm not really that much. The chainsaw is the primary tool. Everybody uses a variety of tools. Some people are somewhat purists where they just use a chainsaw, so they're more rugged carvings. But the hand carvers have infiltrated our world pretty good, so they've learned how to block out quickly with a chainsaw and bring some fantastic detail to it. And it's growing the whole art form as you try to keep up. So die grinders, brushes, sanders, all that sort of stuff to refine it. But the chainsaws, 90% of the work is done with the chainsaw. They are limited by the wood, certainly, but for example, I carve stumps in people's yards here in the Pacific Northwest, so it's not uncommon to go out and have a 4-foot diameter tree, 10 or 12 feet tall, as your canvas to paint upon. You build scaffolding, you make your own little Ewok village in the sky, and if they're really tall, you rent a lift to get yourself up there. And that's the challenging part. It's a lot more physical, and it's a lot like heavy industrial work. It's you just making what you want and feel like making is certainly the most satisfying part of it. I'm a pretty voracious reader, and sometimes when I'm reading a book, I'll go out and carve one of the characters, at least my mind's eye view of it, and that's fun. But if it's a job, you got to get paid. Sometimes you just got to make stuff that's production. That's why you see so many carved bears in the world. Game of Thrones is fun, of course, and I've read all the Lonesome Dove. When I read Lonesome Dove, there's actually 4 books in the series, and just some of the characters in there, I was carving just crooked cowboys and Indians and buffalo, and it was very inspiring. Game of Thrones is unlimited in the goofy characters you can get out of that. I don't know. I've always done it. At least my version of it. It may not look like anything from the movies or the books, rather. If you watch the movie, then you get spoiled. You have an image in your head. If you just read the book, it's completely out of your head. Well, I don't really depend on the island itself, and never have. That's one of the reasons I carve the stumps in people's yards, and they can be anywhere from Bellingham to Olympia, the I-5 corridor. So I've kind of developed a lifestyle where I make things here to stockpile for having shows, and then I travel a lot to shows and to do the stumps in people's yards. I kind of compare it to having a fishing boat. You got to work on the boat for free, but you get to go out and catch fish, and you may or may not catch any. So it can be a feast or famine business. And every grandma in Tacoma had a 6-foot stump and some money and wanted a bear carved, and that's when it really took off for me.
That's awesome. So,
that's my own theory, but it seems to be like that. And I've carved hundreds. I'm kind of aging out of that game because it's physically demanding. But the demand certainly exceeds the supply of carvers doing it. There must be a dozen full-time carvers that just do that in Puget Sound. I carve in chainsaw carving competitions, and in the last 20 years, I've ran quite a few of them. The pieces that I carve in a competition usually are the most special to me because I'm making what I want, and I have a complete artistic license to do whatever I want, but it is subjective judging, and so you can get a lot of disappointments. I've actually been beat in well over 200 chainsaw carving competitions, but I keep coming back. I can't. I seem to work from the mind's eye angle of it, and it's just very industrial, and it's the most critical time because you gotta block the outline out, and if you can capture that, the rest of it kind of comes into play pretty easy. If you botch it, it shows. With 20 other people who are, every bit as determined to do something, and some of these guys are so absolutely fantastically, stunningly good that I stand in open mouth awe when the show's over, no matter where I place. I just do it with my eye. I have a tendency, I carve big, oversized, bigger than life characters. Imagine that is what I like doing. Big pirates or loggers or Seahawk fans screaming and things of that nature. It's kind of my favorite deal. Just big, oversized